In the quiet town of Plainfield, Wisconsin, surrounded by endless cornfields and silence, lived a man whose darkness would change horror forever. His name was Ed Gein, and behind his shy smile hid one of the most disturbing minds in history. This is the true story of the Butcher of Plainfield, the man who inspired Psycho, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and The Silence of the Lambs. Ed Gein was born in 1906 in La Crosse, Wisconsin. His father, George, was a violent alcoholic. His mother, Augusta, was a religious fanatic who preached that the world was full of sin and that all women except her were agents of the devil. She kept Ed and his brother Henry isolated on a small farm, far from the rest of society. They weren't allowed to have friends. Their world revolved entirely around their mother's twisted version of morality and control. When Henry died under mysterious circumstances, possibly caused by Ed, the last shred of normality in Ed's life vanished. And when Augusta passed away in 1945, Ed's reality collapsed. After his mother's death, Ed lived alone in that deteriorating farmhouse. He sealed off Augusta's bedroom, keeping it perfectly preserved, untouched for years, while the rest of the house rotted away. At night, Ed wandered local cemeteries. He read obituaries and looked for women who reminded him of his mother. Then, under the cover of darkness, he dug them up. From those bodies, Ed took parts, skin, bones, organs, and used them to make grotesque souvenirs, masks, bowls, a belt made of nipples, even a vest made entirely of human skin. He claimed he didn't do it out of hatred, but out of longing. He wanted to become his mother. For years, the townspeople thought Ed was just odd, quiet, harmless. But in 1954, a woman named Mary Hogan vanished. 3 years later, in 1957, Bernice Worden, a local hardware store owner, also disappeared. Police traced the last sales receipt in Bernice's store to Ed Gein. When they entered his farmhouse, they expected to find a suspect. Instead, they found a house of horrors. Inside were human skulls used as bowls, chairs upholstered with human skin, and Bernice Worden's body hanging upside down like a butchered animal. Ed confessed immediately. He admitted to killing 2 women and exhuming graves of at least 9 more. The trial revealed a man detached from reality. Psychiatrists described him as a schizophrenic, suffering from delusions and psychosis. Ed didn't fit the pattern of a typical serial killer. He didn't kill for pleasure, power, or revenge. He killed to preserve the memory of his mother and to recreate her in the most disturbing way imaginable. Declared legally insane, Ed Gein was sent to the Central State Hospital for the criminally insane. He remained there until his death in 1984 at the age of 77. Even in death, his story haunted the world, blurring the line between human and monster. Ed Gein's crimes became the blueprint for modern horror. Psycho's Norman Bates, the boy obsessed with his dead mother; Leatherface, the killer who wore the skin of his victims; Buffalo Bill from The Silence of the Lambs, desperate to transform into something else, all were inspired by the same man, a lonely farmer from Wisconsin who couldn't let his mother go. Today, Ed Gein's farmhouse is gone, burned to the ground by locals decades ago, but the horror he unleashed lives on. In every story that reminds us that monsters don't come from another world, they come from within ours. If you want to uncover more real-life stories behind the darkest films in history, subscribe and join me in exploring the shadows of true crime.